Okay, our next guest says that one of President-elect Trump's biggest priorities should be tackling government waste and the ballooning national debt. Joining us now, Senator James Lankford. He released his second annual report on government waste and debt this week. So many different ways and viewpoints on how to deal with debt. Senator, is it possible? Is it possible to get growth going and not be quite as concerned near term with austerity, maybe get growth going and see how that works, see whether tax receipts go up, and then maybe start addressing it more stridently?
We really have to do both. And I know that may sound like that may be odd, but if we don't have economic growth and if we don't limit our spending, then we will never get on top of the debt and deficit issues. We're sitting on almost $20 trillion in total debt, just $500 billion just this year in overspending. Obviously, that's not sustainable. When the debt has doubled in the last 8 years, it can't keep going like that. And when interest rates tick up, and you and I both know that interest rates will tick up, in the next 8 years, it's forecast we'll spend more on interest on our debt than we do on national defense. That is not long-term sustainable for us, so we have to pay attention to both.
I mean, we can, I guess, with the way that we're able, with the strength of the dollar, the way that we're able to, sort of basically do what we, hopefully we always can. But King Dollar does allow us a lot of leeway with doing things like this, and maybe the dollar comes down a little. But do you think we've already hit the tipping point from the point of no return? Because other countries have come back from much worse than this, I guess, but not without some pain.
Well, that is correct, not without some pain. Let me just give you, y'all were doing some arithmetic and math earlier on it. Let me give you a little bit of arithmetic. If we were to balance our budget in the next 10 years, and it would take a pretty focused effort just to not have overspending any one year. If we're to balance our budget, then have a $50 billion surplus the next year. If we had a $50 billion surplus every year for 460 years in a row, we would pay off our debt. Now, the goal is at this point, let's get down to where we're not adding more to the debt every year, and let's get to a point where we can manage our debt as a ratio of debt to GDP. But to deal with just the sheer size of our debt as it's approaching the total economy, that is the part that I think everyone needs to be able to pay attention to, especially when interest rates go up and those interest rates payment take up so much of our discretionary spending.
What if you include entitlements? We might as well just all kill ourselves, I think, right? I mean, what does that come out to?
No, we're at the same spot. We look at about $3.7 trillion in total spending, everything from entitlements and mandatory spending.
Yeah, but what's the total amount of unfunded obligations we have? It's like $100 trillion or something.
It's over $100 trillion. That's correct.
Yeah. What's $100 trillion? That does sound like real money, Paul. Go ahead.
It does sound like real money, and it's part of my concern that during the debates, it doesn't seem to be a lot of the conversation.
You've got a guy here that wants to blow out the debt like you can't believe. And is this guy totally off base?
Well, I have a very simple question. You are looking at the government sector, we the people, as if it was a household sector. Why do you not look at the government as different than a household sector? That the government is perpetual. We are perpetual as a people. So why do we have to even contemplate ever paying off any of the debt? Why can't we just roll it forever?
We can roll it forever, but the interest payments will then suck up our discretionary spending. The reason we can't do more on highway funds, the reason we can't do more in so many areas is because the first payment is always to our interest, and our interest right now is about $225 billion. Almost exactly the same as what it was 10 years ago, but we have twice as much debt. When interest payments go up and we're at $800 billion a year in interest payments alone, then we literally don't have money to be able to do on so many other areas and investments we need to do, and then we are in that perpetual cycle and you can't catch up. It's as if I'm paying my grandparents' minimum payments on their credit cards, my parents' minimum payments on their credit cards, and my minimum payments on credit cards. At some point, you don't have enough discretionary income to do everything else.
Okay. Why are you so bearish on interest rates? What is your forecast for interest rates over the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I look at the CBO scoring to try to back out and not try to make the guess on what that would be, but I would say I don't have any anticipation that interest rates stay at the same level they are right now for the next 10 years. And I haven't seen anyone else that stepped in and said, you know what, we're going to have historically low interest rates into the foreseeable future forever. If they tick up at all, each time they tick up to 25 basis points or so, that's about $50 billion in interest payments for the taxpayer.
Hey, Senator, it's sort of the water cooler topic. Do you have any companies in Oklahoma eyeing a factory move to Mexico? And are they rethinking it? What do you think of that?
So far, we've not seen companies in Oklahoma eyeing a move to Mexico. A lot of them do have production around the world, and they should be able to participate around the world. That's a good thing for us as a global economy to participate everywhere. But so far, we don't have a big move to be able to relocate out of Oklahoma. Who would ever want to leave Oklahoma?
Oklahoma is okay. But what about, are you saying then that the government shouldn't be in the business of threatening or cajoling companies into staying here and keeping jobs here? What are you saying?
I say every state, including Indiana and every other state, always competes for business and always competes to be able to bring jobs to their state, and that's a right thing to do. Oklahoma competes, and we have jobs that have come to Oklahoma from other places because we competed and won those jobs based on having a really great process on our workers' comp, being a business-friendly state, and some incentives that our state has done. We should engage as a nation to be able to take care of our tax policy. We punish companies for doing international business. We punish them with the corporate tax rate. We tried for the last couple of years the stick approach to say, if you leave, we're going to whack you. We need to move to the carrot approach and to say we're going to fix some of the international corporate tax code to be able to encourage people to go. I don't see a lot of companies that want to leave and go international. I see them and their shareholders and others saying they require to because it's better for the bottom line. We need to fix that part of it, and that's a large-scale tax reform proposal. I
want you to come back to Trump Tower and get on that. You've got some good ideas here. Have you been back yet? I'm going to invite you. You want to go up there?
I have not. I've not been to Trump Tower. I'm going to keep my day job that Oklahomans gave me.
All right. Just thinking of this. Thought you're an impressive young man. What's wrong? You don't think I should be offering out a cabinet job?
Have you been to Trump Tower?
No, I haven't. But I definitely need to keep my day job. Anyway. Senator, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.